Hello and welcome to Last Week in AWS. I'm Corey Quinn. I went to the AWS Summit in New York last week, and frankly, it was a generative AI obsession fest. If this is anything like what reInvent is going to be like, stay home. You'll be happier for it. Now, what do they actually announce? Amazon API Gateway WebSocket APIs now available in 7 additional AWS regions. Cool. Hey, listen, with these 7 additional regions supporting it, how many regions in total now support the WebSocket API? I'll wait because there's no central point to get that information. Backblaze B2 Cloud Storage helps you scale applications and deliver services globally. Egress is free up to 3x of the amount of data you have stored and completely free between S3-compatible Backblaze and leading CDN and compute providers like Fastly, Cloudflare, Vultr, and CoreWeave. Visit backblaze.com to learn more. Backblaze, cloud storage built better. Amazon EC2 R8G instances powered by AWS Graviton 4 are now generally available. And this is a big deal, as Graviton 4 is now GA 8 months after being announced at reInvent. It sure would have been nice for this to have been mentioned on stage at the summit, but no, nothing that wasn't Gen AI was mentioned. Announcing the next generation of Amazon FSx for NetApp ONTAP file systems. I like this, but I really want to use it for small amounts of data like I do now with EFS. Today, it's still too expensive for that to really make sense. Announcing AWS App Studio Preview, the second coming of Honeycode, because the thing that doomed the first one was apparently a lack of Gen AI. Amazon Lambda introduces new controls to make it easier to search, filter, and aggregate Lambda function logs, and this is great. Now, please make it also work cross-region. AWS recognizes a challenger in the 2024 Gartner Magic Quadrant for analytics and business intelligence platforms. You'd think it was challenger as in giving the leaders a run for their money, but it's talking about QuickSight, so instead it's more challenger as in space shuttle. Introducing Dual Stack without public IPv4 application load balancer. This is economically great now that AWS has been charging for IPv4 in what was initially positioned as a drive IPv6 adoption play, but has turned into something that looks an awful lot like a cash grab. We've all got a permissions mess in our clouds. Service control policies, or SCPs as we know and tolerate them, could be the tool to clean it up, but they're not exactly easy to use. They're limited in size, hard to manage, and often too powerful. You could end up nuking some developers' code from orbit if you're not careful. That's why Sanri created the Cloud Permissions Firewall. That's right, an identity firewall. It builds SCPs that get you to least privilege without the whole nuking the code from orbit thing. In fact, you can restrict unused permissions at any scope with one compressed SCP for the entire org. Clean up that permissions mess without pissing off any developers. Try it for yourself with a 14-day free trial at sonri.co/lastweekinaws. And don't worry, no credit card required. Again, that's sonrai.co/lastweek. And finally, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy explains leadership principles, video and podcast. Now, this is contrary to what you might expect me to say, well worth the read. The 8 leadership principles in question that he delves into are good ones and are frequently misunderstood. It feels very old Amazon to me when the company was at its zenith. The LPs are great fodder for jokes, and believe you me, I know that better than most people do. But they're a thread of consistency through the core of everything Amazon does. The 2 new ones added a few years back are laughable, but the others are remarkably solid. It's one of the most admirable parts of Amazon, and this post makes it remarkably clear that Andy has, despite everything, not taken his eyes off of that particular ball. And that's what happened last week in AWS.